ain't gotta worry about the cash that we spend. Yeah,
Clientel is a monster.
We ain't gotta worry, got the cash coming in. Yeah.
DPU, DopeProducersUnited.
We ain't gotta worry about the track, got the stems. Yeah. You ain't gotta worry, DPU make it blend. Hey, DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit.
All right. So here we go. So thank you for joining us. My name is Keith, representing Shine Right Productions, as you can see. Also, one of the pillars for our DPU organization. But today we have something truly magical. So one of the names that pops up every single time you think about DPU is none other than DJ Clientel. So welcome. We're happy to be able to have this time to get this thing kicked off. I know we've been trying to get together for a while, so appreciate you stopping through to get this interview started. So
yeah.
But we can start off with some easy stuff. Then we can progress our way into how this is going to go. But okay. Tell the people a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, I'm from an area called Jacksonville, North Carolina, near the coast, and kind of grew out in the country. I actually was very separated from music. We were kind of strict on what we listened to in the house. Certain things that I did take onto were like Barry White, the Roots soundtrack. I remember hearing that back in the day. It was pretty cool. But it was like listening to the Santana, things like that my parents were into. But I finally got my first love for music, probably when I started hitting near my teenage years, because then I was around friends that listened to the latest music. So and I always loved music. I just always was more obsessed with the music behind the artist, not so much the artist. The artist was what to me would take it and make it into an actual song, but I was more interested in the people behind the boards and getting interested in what they use and how much harder things were back in the days than they are now. So I guess that was my biggest thing. And I love reading books. I would rent books from the library on recording and the process of actual recording, not something like with software in these days, but just the whole science about what makes a microphone work, what makes a speaker work, stuff like that. So that's kind of what I was into growing up, and that's about it in a nutshell what I came from.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, that's like a lost art. People now, they're just so easy to hit the magic filter, the VST, and all the work is done, and they don't know really much about the history of what makes sound, how sound recorded, how do the waveforms work. So that's pretty dope that you actually are a student of the industry, not just going off the latest craze, the latest fad. I don't know how you do your production. So when you started thinking, moving into where your friends were listening to the latest music, what actually drove you to start creating music yourself?
Well, honestly, from never really hearing hip hop, which is what I love, I just have a passion for hip hop music, especially more roots hip hop, that things that came from where it kind of started from to what it branched off. But you always had those cutting edge people that when hip hop was just getting started in different years and different eras, some producers stood out. And I was automatically interested in the beat. Like when I heard certain songs or whatever, like they would play, I was like, oh my God, I just love that song. Like I would never go to the store and buy a CD from a group called the Ghetto Boys. But when you hear the Mind playing Tricks on Me on Kiss 102, and everybody knows Kiss 102 out there in the coast, it was had radio play, and I was like, oh my God, that beat is crazy. And just hearing the artist on it, telling it and making it into a story, that's what made hip hop interesting. So I caught on like in the late 80s. I was late to the game. I was catching up on things that had came out. All like 88 was that year. that was that year Jordan just started getting real hot, you know what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah.
and a lot of big things happened that year. It's like pushing that name brand of Nike and Air Jordan and stuff like that. So it was like a turning point where that kind of influenced fashion. I used to watch UMTV Raps, go down to the rec center, and a kid lock in 4 o'clock. This was before Big Ticket.
Oh wow.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's
Early
up.
days. Early days.
Real early. Because I mean we're I want to say around the same age group, so a lot of those experiences I experienced myself. So man, you bringing back memories. So, but let's get into some of these questions though, because
Okay.
I know there's a little bit of freedom here, but if you didn't choose music, would it actually be one of your other outlets?
Still would be dealing with audio. I love installing car audio, high fidelity car audio, customized, hands-on, a lot of not just electrical wiring, but I would just be into electronics. Period. I've always just been a gearhead, what they call somebody who just buys the latest thing every time it comes out. I do love. I have a passion just for electronics, so that would be my outlet. Still working on something dealing with music, but not maybe making it no more.
Well, but I think they go hand in hand because
Yeah.
you can't really have one without the other.
Mhm.
So, because in order to hear the music, you gotta be able to play it on something. So, I
Mhm.
think that's a good answer for that. So, actually moving into what you're talking about, the electronic side, if you could only use one piece of equipment, or software, I'll give you the flexibility. What would it be in order to make your productions?
If I had to just go with the one that could do it all, and it's a very sensitive subject for people that use other stuff and love it. It's all good. Still got love for you, but Native Instruments machine, hands down, you can do anything, everything in that. Whether it be chopping up samples, playing live music, the workflow is super easy. And each time they come out with these crazy nice updates, you can always do something simplistic that makes things typically more complicated. Some people know how to, roll hats and do things real fast by just clicking the right button and inserting, but certain things just, go even faster and can make really intricate stuff really quick, and it integrates great. So that's just my opinion. That's what I like.
Because I mean, I know there's some competitors out there, but I don't have any personal experience with the machine module. But I mean, I've seen the magic you be able to make with using that machine product. So hands off, man. Hats off to you. Now, as far as going into the producer side, we'll stay with that. In your time, who, in your opinion, would be one of the most underrated producers?
Well, I would have to give that to Madlib. If
Okay.
anybody has heard of his production, he has sonic greatness when it comes to just taking raw stuff. And when I tell you, I found out his recording process, it's very simple how he grasps and makes the song, even though a lot of times he just looks for rare cuts, literally goes on nice trips to go in deep into areas that are untapped to find vinyl, and he bring them back to the United States. And he might come back with just 20 albums that he paid a ton of money for, but there'll be some rare cuts that are just so bananas that you can't find anywhere, and they only made production in that country. So consider him a local artist from the 70s, 80s era and paying top dollar to go get their vinyl. So that's fun, but he'll take that and then he brings it to his engineers. I have never seen that, where they have actually take the sample and they go in piece by piece and expand every hi-hat, every kick, every snare in the actual sample, because he very rarely layers drums on his music, but you can hear that snare and that kick in that sample pop and not make the whole thing much louder, not just add bass and add treble. They actually go in there, every kick, every snare, and in mastering software go in and expand and silence, and it actually just manipulates the sample in ways that I've never heard of people do it. And then he uses crazy compression ratios, almost like you intentionally hear a loud pink noise breath in the background every time a kick goes. It's and you hear the sound that comes in behind it because it's the knee is set so high, so it throws so much at you, but then his ratio to cut it off is quick. So it's like it takes a hard hit but cuts off quick. And the way they explained it, when I read I forget what it was, but it was some producer magazine that came out and it only had like a year's worth of issues in stock, but they're collector's items now. In there they had an article about how he makes his music, and it was more his engineer doing the talking than him, but he makes some incredible music. It really don't get his credit. And I heard, so like, you know, with Freddie Gibbs, he's done a couple albums, and now because he got Grammy nominated for that Alfredo album he did with Alchemist, that now they're doing a collaboration with Alchemist and Madlib together to try to get that Grammy next year. So that the music is great. The guy's talented, but a lot of people don't know him. You know, if you're not from the West Coast, or we're really into the beat junkie era, you know, from Raucus back in the early 2000s, you wouldn't have known when he came out from, you know what I'm saying? But I love his production. He very rarely comes out with stuff nowadays, but when it does, it's still fire.
Man. So, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but for those who are not, go check it out, man. I mean, he's not wrong, and it always has that polished finish when he's done with the track. So check out Madlib. Now you actually have a background yourself as far as, you know, your productions, and it's actually been, you know, placed on the marketplace, some of them. Can you tell me about some of the stuff you have coming out soon?
Yeah, so I got a lot of big tracks coming up on my big homie Frankie Braggadocio with Hieranarchy Media. He's got a real big album coming out. Actually, about 2 or 3 albums coming out, but the first one he's releasing, I got some crazy joints on that. The first song, Like, is out. Definitely got to check it out. It's on all the platforms. And I got my personal thing coming out. It's a shorter, I believe it's going to be about 8 tracks, but it's going to be what I kind of do on the show. Really hard beats, probably with beat switch ups, but then having just entertaining scratches on top of them. So it's going to be more like a turntable. I'm going to test the market, see how I do with that. I think it'll get love because I'm going to have pretty much all the elements I can put on it. And it should be done probably in about 6 weeks. So about half of it's already done.
Man, 6 weeks. I can't wait to hear, you know, the final product, because like I said, if you get the opportunity to actually listen, Clientel has some mean beats. And you know, he has that niche that he falls into and still has that like commercial radio type sound. So definitely looking forward to that. We're going to actually move into, you know, a little bit more deeper dive as far as your production goes. So your production, you have a system, you have a method, you have a process, a workflow, so to speak. So what separates, you know, your production from any other producer?
I would say everything that I try to come out to have a fierce presence. I aim for that anyway. That one next one to blow, that type of track. We all try to aim for like nice music, but I try to go over the top. Like, you know, you got, you know, do or die at the last minute. I try to really put so much energy into each track, but not overdo it. And that's just what I would say in a nutshell, what I would try to present on most music. That's why I don't come off probably doing a lot of softer music. It's more harder. People come to me for that. They may not look for all the production to be just like that, but they know that they want that one track or a couple of tracks on their album to do that. And I've worked with most of the artists in Central and Eastern North Carolina. There is a few that I haven't, or there's a lot I've worked with that maybe nothing finally came out, but we got work already done. And then I go through a lengthy process. I go through multiple things to actually get that final mix or that final song. Sometimes what people hear, that I know a lot of people don't go through that trouble. They try to integrate it, and I separate it on purpose.
Okay. So that's the magic sauce, is the separation. So we actually gonna play a track after this question, but if what beat would you play if you had $10 million on the line?
Well, it would have to be something that I know they was willing to give 10 million for. I would say it would have to be a real big hit. Definitely somebody, who could picture themselves being on the Billboard top. I try to go with something more open sounding like that. Just the best you got. 10 million is a lot. That's a lot.
10 million is a lot. And but you got one already prepped up here for me to let the people hear a little bit of. And we're gonna call it $10 million. Now, that's tough. That's
Thank
tough.
you.
So, I mean, what gave you that inspiration for that track?
I love the sound of the retro bass line. That's what kind of I actually started with that first, and just so many different layers that are kind of like jazzy. I put a lot of filtering on multiple layers of guitars, and the pianos. I took a sample of a piano lick and then played it on. And actually, I made that one, by the way, on my Akai MPC Studio. So that one, I'm able to play and put it into piano mode. Certain things, even like that bass line, that's a bass line that's just got one dome, and you just make the melody in there, layer over layer. But each layer that sounded almost like guitars fading with like mad shiny shimmery sounds around it, that's because I put a high pass filter that was on in sync, basically I would say like a tremolo effect that you can get on that particular program, where it'll start oscillating, and you'll hear it go to the rhythm of whatever you put it at, 1/8, triple eights, 1/4, 1/2, and I multi-layer that over and over and over, but dropping it a pitch down 12% and a pitch up 12%, and you have the same simple sound, but pitch down in different levels, and then EQ it over and over and over until you get them just where nothing stands out over top of each other, and it ends up sounding like it was really made like that, but it's not. And that's what I look for, intricacy, to make it sound like that. But it's like I look for trying to make it difficult. I'll take a long time on a beat. Back in the day, I used to make like 5 beats a day, just stacking beats, and then I realized, I can go back and do this and do that, and I never would. But now I'll take some time. Sometimes I'll take 2 to 3 days giving different ears to it, and until I finally get it. And literally it'll be about 2 or 3 hours just playing it, switching drums out, looking for that sound and that rhythm, and then hearing if you could go on that radio and somebody snap on it. That's what I like.
Okay. Shoot, that definitely shows that you have a very intricate process, more than most. Because I know a lot of people, they like the cookie cutter stuff, but you definitely create the most out of every sound. It shows. It shows, because it doesn't sound like anything that I would hear, maybe a younger producer making. So definitely appreciate that. So if we're gonna stay with the themes. If you could actually, take a TV show thing and recreate it in your own vibe, what show would it be?
I would say Hawaii 5-0.
Okay.
So, like, I would get the vintage Hawaii 5-0 episodes, and they had this killer. I used to love it. Beginning, kind of sounded like the Beach Boys type stuff, but it just had riffs in there that were just known for being nice for sampling. But I would love to make something like that. How they infused beach style guitars, Hawaiian guitars, into just a killer melody. But I'd just redo a dramatic melody that sounded like that, because it was like a police at the beach. It's supposed to be kind of cool, solving murders in Hawaii. Doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, here's the theme music. You know what I mean? Type stuff. So
yeah. See, we're old enough to actually remember the original Hawaii 5-0 song. A lot of young people, they know this new version that was out for a while. I don't know if it's still syndicated, but yeah. But yeah, anybody who has Comet TV can see some of the old episodes of Hawaii 5-0, but it definitely had a killer track.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But we're gonna slide into a different question set. So I hope you're ready for this.
Yep.
So, what known producer? There's a bunch of them out there these days, because we're in 2021 now. But what known producer would you actually entertain doing a battle with?
I would say I'm really intrigued by this guy, and the only reason why I'm picking him just because I'm intrigued by his music. Not everything I think is like 100%, oh my God, that's the greatest thing, but 90% is, and to me that's very respectable, and a time where you got to be consistent, for going on 2 decades, so that's a long time. So I would say Alchemist. I would love to go against him. I've seen him under pressure make beats like that, and it's insane. It's just like a guy gets in the zone, and he knows how to work at NBC. He knows how to work, and I would love that challenge.
Okay, Alchemist, a fellow NPC guy. So that's interesting choice. Not all surprising, but an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you have other guys that love to use that hardware, and they're attached to it because they already know how to manipulate it and get the sound they want out of it. But that being said, when you're actually thinking about beats, so what's the one beat in your mind you know, that you strive out to actually attain? So is there a certain pattern that you're looking for? Is there a certain feel that you're trying to grab? You know, what is it about the one beat when you go to do your production?
Okay, so well, if I had to, because I actually do, and it's very very common. Some people dabble in both, but I actually have a huge love for what we call boom bap music or backpack style music. You know, people call it all different types of genres. Some people just call it hip hop, real hip hop, raw hip hop. I like stuff like that. But I also love some of the stuff that, saying, moving to Atlanta, I've learned, how to make music like that, where people call it trap music. But actually, I just call it like Southern style music. It's now gotten that moniker that, this sound came from Atlanta, but now you got producers in LA that sound just like it. They're making singles that sound just like it. You got it in New York. So now it's more universal. Now it's a genre just where they call it trap. So I like both, but I like things that actually give you feeling, not just, I would just say, just music to just rap about trapping, or doing stuff like that. No, I don't make necessarily just straight music like that, but it usually has a punchline. It has something that's going to have you feeling that type of vibe. So I would say feeling would have to be it, because I make music of both. The patterns, when I go for a trap, I always usually start with the melody first. Boom bap, sometimes I start with the drums because I'm looking for something random on purpose. I look for obscure when it comes to boom bap. Definitely wouldn't be something that you would hear just used 1,000 times. I try to stay away from samples that have been done a lot, and I love the sample. I don't really like to integrate. I really personally just don't like integrated keyed music to boom bap drums. That's just not my style. Some people love that, but to each his own. But with trap music, then I'm not that full trap. I'm more with kind of sounds that you would get in boom bap music, but it's over the grittiest, grimiest way I can present trap style beats, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Like drums that would go in those types of genres of music.
Okay. I mean, that's what's up. That's what's up. I mean, I've had to learn, as you know yourself, I had to learn to appreciate trap for what it is. The music side, maybe not the message, but the music side of it, because it's a little more intricate than people give it credit for. It's not
those
just,
patterns.
yeah.
Patterns be intricate, and then with boom bap, it's intricate because how you slice. I'm all about catching just a piece that some people just don't have an ear for. I just love that.
Yeah, I mean, you have those guys that actually they do it like yourself. They do it well. You got your Ninth Wonders, you got your DJ Premiers, guys who've mastered their craft. So that's what's up. That's what's up. So you actually have a question, because you have another piece that I want to play for everybody, about what beat that you've actually created that best personifies you. So in your opinion, what is it that you put into yourself when you're thinking about making a piece?
Well, people that know me personally, I'm more of a reserved person. I'm not very outlandish. I try to be that loud mouth of the room with the music, because that's typically just how I express myself. What I can't do in real life is just because that's just not my way I like to express myself. I try to come out a little bit stronger in the music. And people realize and know that, that's the kind of, you was in that mood that day, because the mood I'm in, it might not necessarily, like if I'm in a bad mood, I make the hardest, grittiest beats. No, that's not necessarily true, but I just, whatever kind of vibe that I feel like I have a hunger of hearing my own music. I rock my own music in the car sometimes. Sometimes I'll go like 2 to 3 weeks of listening, but nothing but my older music. And then I do that on purpose to put myself in a zone, you know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to, just sitting down and getting started, very rarely that I can't just get something going quick, but it's like sometimes it'll take time and change, pitch correction of the whole track. Sometimes I like to really change the whole tempo and speed and pitch of the track but then change it drastically and see, does that improve it or does it make it sound worse? If it sounds better, now I'm messing with it at a lower tempo or a lower speed or sped up. Just depends what I feel on it, and then it comes out. It just comes out, and then people, some people rock it, some people find it like, oh, I like it, but I don't know how to mix that in a party. It just depends what kind of person you are, because like the kind of people that I usually deal with, they're more interested in the subject matter necessarily than being the next biggest fad. That doesn't mean that it can't be a big song, but these people are usually more interested in subject matter. So that's what I rock with. That's the kind of lane I play in.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and check this out for a few moments, and it's called Personified. So here we go. Okay. So everything that you actually just talked about, I heard the boom bap, I heard the pitch changes, I heard you speed up, I heard you slow down. So I mean, really, everything that you had described in some of your previous, questions, it was all there for us to check out. So that's what's up.
No doubt.
But moving on, we're gonna go ahead and switch views here real quick. Because it's a little bit darker. But go ahead and fix some of that real quick. All right. The next question I have for you here. So we talked about the production path. We understood your process, but and even who you wanted to battle. But working with other individuals, whether it's producers or artists, tell me about a time an artist did something on one of your tracks that was just, terrible, and you're like, man, that's not gonna work, or we're not gonna do that to one of my tracks. So can you actually give us an example?
Oh yeah. I got a few. I need to try to sound too energetic with that, but yeah, no names, you know what I'm saying, but like, just certain artists that especially are more seasoned, just knowing how to what we call get in that mindset, and then I don't mind even forgetting lines, maybe stumbling on it or something like that. It's not nothing wrong with that. That's pretty much natural. That's getting warmed up, and you just lay out a good take. But you got to get to that point. I mean, you got to be able to lay down the tape, and nothing drives me more worse, bro, than getting off tempo. It's like I know you hear the beat, and if it doesn't sound good to me, I know that they can't be telling themselves that I'm on tempo. You got to stay on tempo. Like, so it's like, being practicing, coming in. I used to run a studio, just open doors where people just would constantly bring me their own music, and it's my job to make it sound good and then master it when it's done. And I did that for a long time. And a lot of times they bring me their own music. It wouldn't necessarily be my own, but that was pretty tough. But having somebody come in, like I know it got potential, get a great track, and then when they get on it, it's just not. I try to stay out of the influence on the beat. You know what I'm saying? Unless they ask me. So someone who's like, no, I got this, and then they get in, and it's like completely not what it should be. To really try to take it to a good level, it's like you know, nah, it's tough. It's very tough. And then sometimes, you got to make it where it sounds good. So it was tough, certain times that, just being off beat, just not getting that message really good, or the message just plumb crazy. You know what I'm saying? That you have to really now I'm more like a Kanye West. He chooses the artists he works with. I don't really just take freelance work with a lot of random people. I do sell beats to people, but usually these people are really serious about their craft that they're spending money. So, but early on I would get people that just want to tinker with it and practice, but just buying studio time.
Now, what do you do when you do sell a piece or a
Mhm.
track to an artist,
Mhm.
and they don't follow through, and they don't actually create what you envisioned on your production that you created?
Well, then it's hard to put a stamp on it. So, then, so it's one of those things that goes out there, just like I know Premier has done song that came out absolutely horrible where the artist is not good. Not everybody came in and just lays down this lyrical wizardry, you know. In these situations, I just can't necessarily put a stamp on it. But that's very rare and few. I'm not even saying it happens like a lot, but there has been some instances, you know what I'm saying, and I keep it real with them, you know what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, I'm not there to judge them, So
No.
I just have to kind of draw a line. If I put my stamp on it, I'm out promoting it, that type of thing. Then I'm trying to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you gotta be the best producer that you can be. You want to be proud of it. You want the artist to do their thing, and it's just tough when they can't send it home. But as far as you know your creation process, if you were to actually create a score for any movie, what would it be?
Mhm. I mentioned it earlier. I would love, like, if I could get a hold of about 6 months in native instruments, no drums, just really going through all the different sounds, because I loved how the scoring was done. One of my biggest producer favorites was Quincy Jones. Oh man, because like the first song that got me into music, or album that got me into music, was Michael Jackson's Thriller. That was like, I had the cassette tape, I had the Walkman, and I was running it back, listening to Beat It, because that was my favorite song. Then I like Human Nature. All those songs I would just listen to. But little did I know, I didn't realize that this album that my parents owned, the original scores for Roots soundtrack. I bought the album later, years later. That album, I would love if they redid Roots properly and really did it justice, like how they're putting money in movies now. If they redid that with some big star actors and rebooted it, oh, I would love a stab at that.
Oh, wow.
Because like not just on the hip hop level, just on the score level. Because I mean, the music is pain for real on the original. So, and I've heard the redo, and on when they rebooted it, and it kind of wasn't as good as the original, but it was okay. uh I heard some of the scores just redid of the original. I would like to rescore it.
Gotcha. And that's Look, that's a moment in history right there. You know, the original roots, not this newer stuff. But no, that's a pretty deep selection as far as the movie goes. So, you know, to keep it a little light though. Yeah.
Took it there.
Took it deep. But to keep it a little light, what is the strangest sound, you know, that or instrument? It doesn't have to be a sound; it can be an instrument. Have you used in one of your productions?
Been a few. I do sampling, and I'm telling you, like this particular genre, and I don't even like to use what they call the genre because it's disrespectful, but German rock music, you know what I'm saying? I like German rock. The progressive rock from that era of 75 to 85 is incredible. Novelist, I believe the name of the rock band is. It's insane. I mean, the sounds that they do over there, they created craft work, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that was like cutting edge to b-boying and breakdancing before it even hit the US, you know what I mean? But I would say that, and then Boris Manko from Turkey. His pedals that he used on those vintage electric guitars, I ain't never heard nobody play music like that. He's got great music. So I would say those two are the ones I've had the most fun with, getting actual rare cut. So you don't hear from them in their countries. These guys are like legends. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Novelists.
Which I mean, that's.
Oh, and Goblin. I would say Goblin would be an American. Well, actually, I think they're a European group, but they did like B horror movies. But their scores that they did were just insane. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 guys. One did the organ, one did a cello, one did electric guitar, one guy on drums. And they did these music scores that I ain't really heard, you know, and when you see how they use these sounds with these triangles over 2 bells to make the sounds that would, you know, you can just click on nowadays on sound kits, but how they create these sounds and how they mic'd it for real, it's cutting edge. Like you to have 84 plugs and 2 wires, and you got to keep switching them around to make sure that it gives you a different sound on each plug and isolators. And they had the old school organs, and but they did live performances that were killer. So I would say those were the ones that stood out of my mind. Y'all should check them out.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard, like you said, during the seasons of DPU that we've been through so far, and I mean, even the foreign sounds that you choose, anything from, like you said, the German rock, all the way up to the Asian sounds that you choose. I was like, man,
oh yeah,
your selections, it's pretty wide. So, but as far as you know, we have a question about the 5,000, you know, the year of 5,000 and a beat that you would want if we had a time capsule. So we'll get to that. But before that, I wanted to ask you a question. You know, that's actually not even on the list. So when it comes to software and hardware, you have a preference. Is there a happy medium that you can find between the two to implement in your process?
Yeah, you could go where you don't need software, but it's independent. But honestly, man, I told you like my process is I'll take either on Machine, I'll take and track out the beat and then bring it into Pro Tools and mix it, or I'll do that with Akai MPC and then bring it into Pro Tools and mix it. And they're all separate integrated systems. So I don't ever want to, what I'm saying, get stuck in just one thing and finish it out there. So I didn't integrate all the softwares on just one computer. I actually run 3 separate ones that do 3 separate things. So when I get to stages, I got folders with trackouts that I can just get to when I get ready to. But yeah, that's kind of the process there. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really find somewhere in the middle because I have to do it in one, then export it to another. It's very difficult to just come up with where I can just make it on the fly and then just get it off, because I try to take that extra step. And to me, it just sounds so much better because I've done it a lot, and certain softwares come out with this really great sound. I use hardware to just manipulate. I used to do the 2000 Excel APC, and I broke off of that. Actually, I bought a brand new one, and it lasted for like, 15, 18 years, and it finally died on me. And I just said, forget it. I'm gonna go to the digital realm. And then when I got that Machine Studio, it just blew me away that you can do that. But actually, I use my Akai MPC more often than I do the studio. So I was telling everybody, well, this next season, I'm gonna really go hard on the studio. So having integrated all of this, I felt like I would have just been more narrow-minded. Now I can go do a setup and just work on Machine only, just do a setup, just working on the Akai, and then at the end of the day, nothing goes out until it goes through Pro Tools. So I look like that.
Okay, so you still have your hand in the digital, the software side, but you stay grounded with the hardware. I guess it's better to be flexible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and step into your explanation of your time capsule beat. So could you set it up for us?
Yeah, so we talked about something I was sending the time capsule and play year 5,000 or 5,000 years from now or something like that. So I was like, okay, I want something that sounds futuristic but still gives them a taste of classic music to not forget where we came from. But I made it sound futuristic. I made it sound like something we ain't got there yet in music. Not too experimental, but just put you on a ride. Just imagine being in a time machine and just sending it out and just play it through. You'll hear it's got a little skid on it and everything. So it'll give you a good vibe.
All right, so here we go. Okay. I could feel that. So you had a little bit of the straightforward in the beginning, and then you go ahead and close it off. I mean, that's a dope sound.
Yeah.
Shoot. But
It's one of those things, man. I just wanted to kind of have some futuristic sound, something different, but still sound like, came from now. It could be from years ago, or sound something like something they might have in the future where they're trying to, everything circles back, even 5,000 years from now.
you're not wrong there, brother. You're not wrong, because I'm hearing and seeing things from my parents' youth come back around today, and it's back in sound. It's back in fashion. It's back in sound. I mean, good example. Look what Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak are doing. With,
yes.
Brand new music, but it's got that classic sound.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But look,
they went through a lot of effort to do that too, because now all the setups are so clean, but they go through a lot of effort to give it that vintage, real sound. And tips, man, hats off to that orchestra. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was.
No, I'll tell you this: you ain't gonna catch me with no afro. I'm just it ain't gonna
or turtleneck side. Yeah, it doesn't work. No,
not for me. But look, we appreciate you rolling through.
Yes,
had a ball.
Fun.
Talking with you, getting to know a little bit more about DJ Clientel. So before we leave, I mean, give us one more shout out as far as where we can find your music.
No doubt. So for right now, I just got everything set up, getting this album off the jump off. Definitely check out Frankie Braggadocio's that single Late to the Party's coming out. He's got a lot of other great music with Hieranarchy. He's got multiple artists. Merk Valentine's got a huge single out that I just produced. Can't forget him. He's one of the backbone of the crew, and he's got crazy music that just hasn't been released yet, but it's coming. We worked on mixing it, and it's about to really blow for that guy. So but as far as myself, my album, I'm definitely on my social media. You can catch me at Instagram at Clientel678. I'm Clientel Roxwell on Facebook, and then also you can catch me on SoundCloud. So I put all my latest music, the latest music up there. It's like 50 tracks, just get a taste of what I sound like, and but SoundCloud is The Real Clientel, so soundcloud.com/The Real Clientel. But yeah, just rock with your boy, keep listening to DPU Media. That jump off is gonna get you the links to everybody in the crew. Big love for everybody there. And you know what I'm saying, I'm definitely looking forward to the season. It's very competitive, but it's fun because we actually learn from each other. And sometimes I could do better, and then sometimes, man, I learn and I try to come back harder. And I think that everybody kind of bounces off each other's energy for ideas. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. 2021 is gonna be a big year for us.
Absolutely. I'm in a complete agreement with that. So, but that being said, Keith Wright from Shine Right and DPU. You got DJ Clientel from DPU Hieranarchy Media. Definitely can't wait to see what's coming next, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
We ain't gotta worry about the cash that we spend. Yeah,
Clientel is a monster.
We ain't gotta worry, got the cash coming in. Yeah.
DPU, Dope Producers
We ain't gotta worry
United.
about the track, got the stems. Yeah. You ain't gotta worry, DPU make it blend. Hey, DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit. DPU, be on that ball shit.